Hey, welcome everybody to Battle Pirates Crib. Um, Today we're going to talk about Perfect Strike, the ongoing raid in Alpha and Beta, and the prizes associated with it, and some of the other stuff that's happened so far this week. Let's say hello to everybody. Magic Mike,
Hello to everybody.
and you sound in good shape, even though you got a year older.
Yeah, still kicking it.
Okay. And Crypto,
G'day all.
and Derpy.
Hmm. I don't know if you can ask me that question because it's unconstitutional.
Okay. All I did is say your name.
Unconstitutional.
All righty. We'll have to look into that. So let's go ahead and go through the slides.
Real fast or never mind.
Here we go. Yeah, it appears that we've bug fixes has gone the way of calendars, of normal calendars. So again, there was no issues this week.
We got this stuff down. Okay.
Yep,
No issues.
no issues. All right. We have the Siege Skirmish calendar. We are in week 2, Perfect Strike. And the Harlock's Vanguard for raid points. Next week is going to be VXP Weekend, Shadow and Flame for the Hellswarm, Titan Rising for the Mega. And then the big thing is the Outpost upgrades.
Yeah.
And the Saw Factory and your dock in order to get weight for your reclaimers. And we don't really have a lot of good information as far as, what we do know, Shadow and Flame, Titan Rising, no building tokens in those TLCs. High Ground for the Everest, don't think that has any either. Titanic Omega One, I doubt that has it either. So
You're asking for what are you looking for in these build tokens?
build tokens, yeah.
There are defensive turret platform build tokens in the
Yes, in the one that's going on. Yeah, Hold the Line, which is somehow didn't make it onto the calendar. Hold the Line is going on this week. In addition to Harlock's Vanguard, you can get up to 5 3-day tokens just for defense platforms. That is going on this week. Thanks for reminding me. Those are only available in the Mastery round, but it is worth doing if you're not max. There's a max of 10 on those. So yeah, Hold the Line, Toto song, just in case anybody was wondering. So let's move on. We got some sneak peeks of March. The date of the next Return to Honor Cyberstrike type TLC. That looks like March 3rd, which is the same week as I'm assuming Pillage will be as well. So that's a little bit later in the cycle, in the monthly cycle relative to the raid, because we will also be getting the really big reclaimer, or whatever the flagship is going to be called, at the same time. So, because we're going to be getting 8 days of build tokens for the regular ships, and then 5 days of, in theory, 5 days of upgrade tokens as well. So it's a little messier, dropping at the same time. But we'll see how that works out. This is the first time it's dropped that late. The week before the raid is when you're getting all this stuff. And the following week is March 10th is going to be the next raid, the first raid for the Reclaimer Hall. So, okay. Any more on the calendar? I think Derpy promised that next week you'll get me one with what we know about March.
Yeah, I I may already have it done, just in the wrong format. Let me double check. Yeah, I will have one more updated on Friday for you.
Okay. Sounds good. Alrighty, well, let's move on to the next one. All right, this is something we discussed in the Friday show. And I guess we'll show you a little bit about it when people are walking through the targets. But as you go from U3 or U0 to U3, you have a single salvo weapon that fires out of both sides of your Ronin flagship.
If it's coming out of both sides, you might have a problem.
Yeah. They're two individual weapons. But once you go to X1 on your flagship, it goes to a salvo of 6. And as opposed to being a accuracy-based weapon, it goes to become, it might even be dumbfire, but it's aiming at the incoming ship. But once you go to X1, it now has 6 salvos that are doing about 35-40% of the damage of the original weapon, but now you have 6 of them in each of those salvos. So you need to get about 2
So if they all hit, you do more damage.
Yes, but there is a change in driving that we'll get to as we move on, because before a lot of people would try and sort of snipe out the ships that were incoming, but now your sweet spot is close to the middle of that pie wedge. You have a greater chance of having more projectiles splash the incoming ship. So if you drive the old way, you may not like it, but if you change your driving and try and aim to get them closer to the middle of that pie wedge, you will see a increase both in the effective area of your slow effect, and also an increase in damage as well. So just as a heads up in case people missed the Friday show, but we'll go through that and you'll be able to see it, because I think everybody here has X1 on their flagships, so you'll be able to see the difference. All right, if nothing else on barrage pattern, perfect strike. So yep, this is the next 6 days. And oddly enough, I'm being completely honest about this. I don't know if
6 days, I'm bored already.
Well, the weird thing was this morning, twice I woke up, I had a dream, and all 2 of the dreams, both of them ended with me laying in bed and somebody bursting through the door with a katana trying to slice me. It happened twice. Once at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I fell back asleep, and then at about 7:15 I woke up again, because I have this thing when I'm having a dream and I try to run or do anything, I move in slow motion. I assume it's my body's trying not to actually move while I'm sleeping so I don't harm myself in some way. But yeah, I was trying to get away from that katana, and I just woke up every time he was about to slice me open. What? Are you serious? Yeah. It happened to me twice this morning. So yeah.
I think that's symbolizing your loss of control and your.
Yep. So I don't know, and the fact that me and Lego are having the same dreams is another issue altogether. But all right, let's move on to the details of it.
Hey, by the way, I just did the 913, the key ships for under 4 minutes repair.
Very nice. So yeah, we can. That was. That's very nice if you can do it on the water combined with everything else. So we have 3 X plus X targets. The 154 and the 156, I assume, are the S targets, and the 913 is the X, even though it doesn't really show this according to the, and according to the table. But you get 250K for the 154, which is an auto target. Derpy did this in the just minutes ago, or less, an hour ago. You autoed it for 30 minutes, and then you were able to do the drive it for
13,
13.
roughly.
Yeah, so instant repair in the dock. And then the 156, you were also getting about 15 minutes of damage, correct?
Mm-hmm. On driving the thing.
Yeah. Never mind. And the 913, you hit all pretty much the whole target, minus one ship, got very close to the 1 million, and 1 million plus the 250K bonus. And that one you got about just over a hair over an hour of damage, but just hitting the critical ships, you were getting about 170 points plus the 250K bonus. And at that point, you were getting, well, the most recent run, just hitting the flagships. You said you got instant repair on the map. So that makes it an interesting target once you build up your 154s and 156s. If you can get an instant repair on the map for, well, let me see. Well, it's less points than the 154 and the 156 because those end up being 500K, but you were getting about 320K, which isn't bad for the speed. Because the thing I did notice is all these targets are, unless you do the 913 to hit everything, and get the full 1 million, are fairly fast targets.
Yeah, the 156 might be the slowest out of the bunch, but they are in general pretty fast targets, which I'm happy about.
Yeah. So
I also think this table is pretty good. The color scheme difference and more contrast. I just wonder why the blitz category is so large. That column is too wide. Other than that, I think this guy might actually be able to do spreadsheets pretty well.
Are you providing an excuse for, or you're doing the opposite of providing any excuse why he lists out the calendar day by day and not putting it into a spreadsheet? Is this related?
It wasn't going to be, but I guess it can be.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on. Unless you want to talk about the photon.
I hit 184, took 33 minutes damage. I will not be hitting another 84 on auto.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on then. All right. The Tier 10 Siege Hall, the Reclaimer. I already don't like this hall. Does anybody?
You formed very strong opinions about new things recently.
Well, except for it's not a new thing. It's the what's the crazy one with the drones? I just forgot it.
Hurricane?
No.
Zealot?
Yes, the Zealot. It has the same ranges as the Zealot, which I hated because you're going to have a range of 62 because of this negative 35% launcher range. And then you're going to get, once you get the specials and whatnot, you're going to have like 90% range on your antis. And then you're going to have an 88% aura. So your actual aiming aura is the smallest one in the inside. And it just does intuitively, it doesn't work for me as far as having to drive through all these other auras in order to get to the one in the inside. I just hate it. I find myself like, why is my ship not firing? Why is it not firing? And then, this all takes place in like a half a second, but you're taking damage at that point in time. I just don't like it this 62 range, along with all these auras that are going to be spread out much larger than this, on top of just, if you got a range of 61, 62, I just don't, I'm not a big fan. But let's get into some of the other oddities associated with this thing. Let's go down to the special abilities. The turret repair matrix only applies to allied turrets and tier 10 siege targets. So what that tells us, from what we can tell here, is that the new targets are going to have what I assume are going to be pop-up turrets, because otherwise,
Or they're shrouded till you get close.
yeah, one of the two, and they're going to pop up and start shooting at the other turrets. And you are going to be able to, each ship with an 88 range is going to provide them, not transfer, 16,000 armor points every 0.2 seconds. This is not, at least I'm jumping to this assumption. When they dropped out efficiency, it meant that
you're just killing them without damaging your ship.
Yeah, there's no transfer, though, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's, so you're not losing health by doing this. You are just buffing those ships and adding those on, like the Gatekeeper and things like that. But yeah, I really wish they would have dropped the word transfer, because that implies something is going from one place to another. So,
you wanted a clear stat block?
Yeah, a boy can have dreams.
Or two of them.
Yeah, so this is a completely different mechanic than what we've seen in PvE targets, but the closest thing that you can probably relate to is this has got a little Gatekeeper in it. But this moves, and how these things pop up and whatnot, we do not know at this point. We'll be able to see some of this on VXP weekend, as long as you have your engine equipped and you can get close enough to actually have these things come into action. And it does have a heavy weapon slot at U1. It has 2 countermeasure slots, which will per ship on the normal reclaimers, which we'll get into a little bit later with the special. And then we get evade, ballistic survival, and additional damage. And this radioactive damage of plus 100. Once you start adding in the plus 500 that's already there, I don't know. We'll see how this all works out.
That, by the way, for the record, that upgrade does not change it from 500 to 1,000 as a special would. It changes it from 500 to 600.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's sort of, it's not as big as it would appear.
What is that? 20%, 16% improvement?
Yeah, it's not huge. So probably the bigger difference, because this has no built-in survival. It doesn't have a survival unless you get the flag. And I'm thinking, I don't know what the flag is going to do, but normally for all through tier 9, and I think most of tier 8, we had a 40 distance ring that was providing survival to the ships to each other. This is no longer there. So the drop.
Really? That's good. That means I can build not 5 ships.
Yeah, and assuming that there is that these repairing the friendly turrets is not a big thing. We don't know yet. We won't know until VXP weekend.
Or raid number 1. Or raid number 2.
Yeah. So, yeah, I personally, I don't like the really short range weapons. It's not something that I like. I have a hard time intuitively driving them, because we've only had a couple of them, and, where the inner circle is your aiming, it's what your weapon range is, and I'm just not used to it. So, any more on the reclaimer? Oh yeah, we never got into stack compression. I forget the title of the forum post is, what was it? It was, it acts like it was going to explain what is stack compression. You can read through that whole thing, not a word as far as what it is, but it's a word of why they did it. But it's not what it is. So basically, my understanding is they have taken the damage that you do on your weapons and knocked off 3 zeros. So if it's 2K, it's now 2. If it's 20K, it's now 20. But they did some weirder things with your armor. It doesn't appear to be consistent. It appears to be tier-based. I wish they would have just explained what was actually happening, because they did not explain it all in the forums. It's just a justification for why they did it, which makes a lot of sense, because this, why with 2 million do we need to have 2 billion? There was no reason to have 2 billion, but why couldn't they just tell us what they did? Because it's a little bit complicated, and if we find problems with it, there's no justification. There's no, blueprint for what they actually did. So I don't quite understand why they did that. But let's move on to the unless anybody has anything more on stack compression.
Now they just divided the numbers per tier by like 600 or 500 or 1,000. Presumably did the same thing for the enemy help. I've seen some issues there were issues on the rollout because the old targets were still on the map.
Mm-hmm.
So you could take it was taking you 100 times longer to kill the target, which didn't work out too well. But that should be fixed. There may be holdovers in the Reaver and the Scourge daily campaigns, and also the subsector resource bases, which are probably being looked at by Kixeye.
The other thing I noticed, I haven't tested them out, but just by what shows up in the displays in the game, they didn't do anything with the rockets.
Your rockets still do 49 million damage.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas your ship does. I wonder. I have the wrong rocket loader right now, but maybe I load up a Delta V, whatever.
Yeah. The other thing, they didn't. The reason they did that is they didn't make any of these changes in PvP. These changes were only made in PvE. So that's the other reason. So they just assumed it was related to that. And it would probably not be worth your time to really use those rockets for damage. Maybe.
And if those will be most effective in the garrison and maybe the skirmish targets because of the damage types. If you
get something, with the skirmish ones.
With a skirmish. Kixeye can always bump up the explosive survival to an insane number so they're not useful because those rockets do explosive damage types, or add on an anti-rocket countermeasure turret in whatever garrison target they need to.
But at the same time, okay, if they bump up the resistance, are you saying launchpad rocket resistant?
Explosive resistance, because they do explosive damage.
Okay. So you're saying as far as garrison and skirmish, because they can't jump it up too high because then
our fleets wouldn't work.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, makes sense. So we'll see how they do it.
Does the sonar range here indicate that we may be dealing with subs again?
Does the sonar range? I do not think so.
Or
Siege.
I would guess mines more likely than siege, but maybe, or it's there for the direct bases or whatnot.
Yeah, just to screw us up, because some of those ones you're better off without sonar range, but with the mines, but it's probably a holdover. So we'll see. The copy and paste is really strong with them. So if it didn't cause a problem, I don't know. So let's move on. All right, the reactive rod loader. Whatever. Yes. So this is sort of like a countermeasure loader, but a bit more powerful. But it's specific to, because I think that one has a radioactive reload of, it's an old, I think, tier 6 plus 25 radioactive, but it's plus 50 for rockets, but whatever. And then the anti-missile range, on some of these it's 77. The reload is sort of not in them. This is probably the most beneficial one relative to the other specials. Anti-missile accuracy is plus 40. The non-proliferation system 2 is an anti-missile accuracy of plus 45. Most of the other ones, the countermeasure loaders, I think it's plus 35 accuracy. I may be wrong on that one. It could be lower, but it's not 40. So it seems like a decent special. But it does.
So
It does.
is this? I guess I want to open up countermeasure loaders 4 and see, because you didn't put them next to each other like you usually do.
Well, because I was having that problem with searching anything, and I just on this one I just gave up because I normally put stuff next to each other, but at that point, I was explaining that I couldn't search for anything, and I wasn't, going to put the slides together.
Okay. Well, it has higher that special, the new one, has higher anti-missile reload than CML4.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, the range is 62, which is lower than CML4. The accuracy plus 40 is higher slightly than CML4. So
yeah,
probably a better special.
Yeah, what are the CMs for this all about? Yeah, if you go back to the old Hydra raid,
no, not that far back.
Well, the Hydra was the most convoluted one, where they had basically you're going to have missiles that do radioactive damage. Is what I expect to see.
Or what it says right here. Looking at the special, it says it buffs anti-missile range. We know that Missile Defense System 3 is anti-missile. Sprint is countermeasure. It won't be buffed by this.
No,
because this is anti-missile range. I'm assuming we're gonna need Missile Defense System 3.
Yeah.
And that will be like the Dragoons, where they're shooting at UAVs, or maybe a radioactive missile. But I'd say UAVs are more likely. I think this is going to be like the Dragoon raid, where there's enemy UAVs that do some sort of damage, and anti-missiles will work against them. Maybe sprints will too. They probably won't. But this thing buffing anti-missiles tells me we're going to need Missile Defense System 3 on our fleet.
Yeah, I was going to go through. Yeah, we need Missile Defense System 3. I was sort of going to go through the history of it when they started it and they learned their lesson. Where they learned their lesson was because there was 2 different missiles, or one of them might have been a rocket. This is when there were some new people in place, and at that point in time, there was things that looked like missiles coming out of. Because remember the point in time where they didn't quite realize that missiles and rockets were the same. I think those people are gone. But at that point in time, they all looked the same, but some of them could only get shot down by sprints, and then some of them could only get shot down by MDS-3. And they wanted us to figure out what was going on. And that didn't go over well. And then as Derpy brings up, there was the Dragoons, which can be shot down with, could shoot down UAVs, and those were doing radioactive damage, correct? Derpy?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think they were. But I
can't remember.
Yeah, I'm expecting that we're going to get UAVs or missiles that do radioactive damage. But yeah, we'll see how that works out. But it's a non-limited special. It's not that expensive, but that's why this is here. Reactive Rod, was that your nickname in high school, Mike?
Similar, yes, it was something like that. Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll move ahead then. All right, we have the limited special. The critical compression system. This is most comparable to insulated charge capacitor. Same weight. There's a 12.5% increase in radioactive reload and 1 increase in supercharge. So it's a step up, not a huge step up, but this was the one. What was the what was the sub that they ruined when they changed Splash?
Shrike.
Yeah, the Shrike. Yeah, this was the special that was on the Shrike. So it's a slight bump up on that, and generally does not stack with any other supercharged specials except for one more click. There we go. Interception system. It does penetrative damage, which isn't really the whole issue, but it adds an additional 20 combat speed and an additional 3 supercharge. I was sort of surprised that this one stacked with it because none of the other supercharged specials do. And it gets it wicked fast. I forget how, it's like in the 130s, 140s as far, 130s at least as far as speed. And then you've taken your supercharge from 6 to 9. I guess we should explain what supercharge means. But we'll do that on the weapon. Any thoughts on this one? This is limited, so you need to claim 5.
See, that one fooled me because I thought it was the other one that we already had, so it looks similar. It looked like one we already. It looked like the damage diffusion system when I looked at it visually. I said, "Oh, I already have that. I don't need it."
Okay.
Wrong. Okay. And I was just double checking it.
Okay. All right. Any thoughts on this? And we'll get into the impact of supercharge on the weapons. But any other thoughts on the?
These weapons, this whole build can get a bit complicated because of supercharge and multi-shot, which doesn't work. And if you want more damage to be from the shockwaves, and supercharge is important, or if you want it to be more from building damage, so the actual raw projectile damage and building damage is important.
Yeah. So let's remember all this thing as far as supercharge goes, reload. These are important things, and let's move over to the weapons, I think is the next slide. All right. We have the non-limited launcher, the recycled or recovered, I don't know which one it is, uranium launcher versus the refined uranium launcher. The only difference between these two is the damage of 700 versus 800. And the special abilities of a stack duration of 60 seconds should not come into play. It's just sort of odd that they have that in there. But
do they not have it in the regular one?
No.
Oh,
I mean, that's why, that one's a little bit bigger. I didn't cut it out. It was just sort of not there. But as far as explaining the supercharge, we have 6 or 9 times. In order to, normally when you have a launcher, you're going to do 700 or 800 damage, plus your radioactive damage, your building damage, wall damage, whatever. And that's going to damage the target that you are aiming at, not any surrounding targets, just that one. It's an accuracy-based weapon. These have 100% accuracy. These are siege targets, so they don't have any evade, so they should hit every time. And then they have a shockwave damage of 125,000, both are the same. But in order to achieve this, it needs to create 210 launcher stacks. So 210 out of your fleet needs to hit, on the one on the right it says within 60 seconds, but if it takes you 60 seconds, you're in a lot of trouble. But what you need...
Mr. 60 seconds over here.
Yeah.
Well, someone in chat saying the first one, or it was fixed, so it shows 60 seconds.
Okay. All right. Okay. Before, when I took this from it, it didn't say 60 seconds. So But what happens with the supercharge is every one of these stacks, which is when one of these launcher projectiles hits a target, it is a stack. It just, I don't know if it's the best word for it, but it's the word they've been using for a long time. So every time it hits, it creates a stack. Now, when you use the previous special or specials, you create that one projectile hitting the target gets changed from 1 stack to 6 or 9. That's a multiplier for how many projectiles hitting the target gets you to this max launcher stacks, which creates the shockwave damage. And the shockwave damage just does not damage that target that's being aimed at, but anything within 20 distance. So something that's close to it could also be damaged by this 125K that will result when you've reached this max launcher stacks of 210, and then it'll restart again. And so every 210, it'll restart again. And it really depends on what the target looks like in regards to how much damage you might be doing to towers next to it. If they're all bunched together, you might be doing a significant amount of damage to 3 or 4 of them, or you might just be doing damage to one of them. It's a little tricky to speak about what's going on there with that. But things like, but as far as what impacts shockwave damage, there are specials that increase, just say shock damage increased by 50%. That obviously works. Radioactive damage does not work. Building damage does not work, right?
Correct. Building damage does not increase shockwave damage.
Yeah, so radioactive damage does not work towards shockwave damage value. Building damage does not work towards shockwave damage value. The only thing that works is, it's sort of like the UAVs, but different because the building
It's like
damage,
this, but not
the
like
building
this.
damage counts. But yeah, and they don't write any of this stuff down. But so the shockwave damage, if you have a special that says it increases the shockwave damage, that's pretty much the only thing that increases it. So I hate TSM. So I don't know. I don't know any more on the launchers and supercharge. Okay.
No, not especially.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on. All right. The store. $4 million for the reclaimer. If you need to get the reclaimed or recycled uranium launcher, this is the non-limited one. That's $2.5 million. Reactive rod, Mike's nickname in high school, and critical compression system, which is limited, so that's going to get pricey. And then there's some stuff that's not related to this raid cycle. The Abolisher Gatling gun, which is the Gatling gun that was released for the Exterminator in the last bounty 2 weeks ago. That's available. And the Avalanche mortar, which we talked about before, which is intended for the Everest. And then I forgot to put the kits in there. There's kits for the reclaimer. And just building the reclaimer is tricky because, as we talked about earlier, we have the issue associated with the upgrade, the fact that the reclaimer is tier 10. It's going to be significantly heavier than the Ronin or the Dragoon, the stuff we saw in tier 9. So we don't know. We looked at it, as we did as far as the TLCs that might provide additional building tokens. Does not appear that there's any going to be available between now and the next raid. as far as we know, at least the next couple of weeks. So there's a chance we might only be building 3 ships and the flag. So how many? And the other issue that we also brought up earlier is that they've moved the Return to Honor / Cyber Strike that provide additional upgrades kits. It's getting delayed all the way to Pillage. So they're changing a lot of stuff here that might impact your thoughts, because normally I would only get 80 kits that would get 2 ships to U2 or 4 ships to U1 and then 2 more to U2. But we have more time until we get new kits. I'm going 150, but I'm only planning to build 3 of the base ships.
I'll get enough to get my 3 base ships up to U3, which is probably overkill, but I can get easy points if I just put in the effort.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, as people are scraping for points, that might not be. You don't want to go and buy all of them. And then the other place that people might want to save on points, if you're not PvP at all, don't get the Abolisher and the Exterminator. I've been claiming all the Avalanche mortars that I can, but people are like, they don't do anything. But I think eventually they will. I mean, they could be the Golden Eagle, but the Golden Eagle still did a little something. So because that's the expensive, most expensive part of this is the Avalanche mortar. So so does anybody want to run through the any of the targets, or because I think this is the last? My guess is this is the last slide. Or is there anything else that we?
Did you talk about the limited launcher? That slide. That is the next slide. That's
we talked about this.
We just talked.
That was the last.
I didn't have the slide up. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that was the last slide.
I mean, there's nothing really that interesting about these, because the limited one's just always like 20% better, and that's almost the only difference.
Yeah.
I guess back. This slide we're on is the limited one versus the Punisher one.
Okay. So
just go back, because this is from a previous thing before we got the release of the non-limited. So there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about both of them.
Was the last one? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Just looks the same.
Just double checking.
Okay.
Check my rods.
U3 and 8 Avalanche on a damaged ship is a big difference with just one ship. Yeah, I have one ship set up like that, and then I have another 2 on a ship that's going to U3 at this point. So yeah, we'll see how it works out at the end of the day. But a lot of people aren't enthused by them, but I've been claiming them. So Derpy, what are you going to want to?
154.
154 driving?
Yep.
Okay. This is the auto target?
Yep.
But you do much better driving, mostly because of the ability to use your wings.
Nah, I don't think so. I think it's mostly the ability to reduce the proto-nemesis damage.
Well, if you kill it faster.
I did not take a lot of concussive damage when I hit this thing.
Well, one of the reasons I say use your wings is because you got a lot more damage coming out of those wings than you do.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, because if you turn to get him,
if you do it really well, it's coming out both ends like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So. Did somebody fall?
I don't know.
Yeah. No, it really depends, on where you're. Yeah. I mean, but you shouldn't, at least in the U.S., you shouldn't be going out to those kind of restaurants, anyways, unless you're eating outside.
Well, 0% concussive damage.
Yeah.
None. All of it was explosive. 15 minutes or 16. One of these guys is still hanging out U3, so just blitz it for 80. Might be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, people blitz it though. That's the thing.
Well, I'm bored of it.
Yeah,
and I've hit three of these things, maybe 4.
Okay, so what are you gonna do next? The 150.
156 was the plan.
Okay, and then after that, hit the 913 in both flavors.
Could do both flavors.
Yeah. But generally, these targets are not, at least if you're at X1/U3 territory, they're not highly damaging targets or do a lot of damage. I'm saying, or take a lot of time.
All better, Mike?
Okay.
I forgot to shut the mic. I'm sorry.
Especially when you took the headset to the bathroom.
I forgot to.
That part was weird.
I forgot.
Jerpy was like, "What's going on here?"
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Hefe thought someone fell down. Well, here's the 156. You spawn right in the middle of the target.
Yeah, you're the star of the party on this one. So, what's the strategy as far as finding
things? Don't take damage.
Well, or I don't get to hit the target for a little while, but find an exit to get to the outside.
I go to the right, get to the outside as quickly as possible, and then you're good. Even though nothing shoots at you at the very beginning, so it's not actually that big of a deal.
Okay.
It's not like the old Warzone targets per se.
Because I was thinking when you first hit this one in the preview thing or whatever, not the preview, but before
raid warm up.
Yeah, raid warm up. My thought was I want to go find my least damaging, fastest path to get outside of this oil ice thing.
I like being inside the
and then just deal with the open water on the outside and not have to worry about what's happening on the all these obstacles or
you can use them to your advantage now. So
yeah, but I was just thinking it might be simpler to just run them around the outside, but we'll see.
You could. I tend to, at least when I want to be more focused on driving, I'm able to do it pretty well.
Okay.
If you were just trying to do it super lazy and just go around the outside of the target, yeah, I guess that works. I will say I do have enough tactical field resist on. The effects from each of these things are not huge. If you had only Hyper 30, you'd have to definitely pay attention.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I go out to the right, then go up to the top, and then come back down through this one. This Pro Nemesis turns around, so it's actually pretty nice.
Yeah. So as you see, you're trying to do two things. You're trying to get chummy with the Proto Nemesis, and then you're trying to get the wings on the Prototype Hunter and the Elite.
And the Nemesis, if possible.
Yeah. And then what I've been doing with these ones, I have lost patience with trying to kite them. I just wait for them to surface and then go for them. You know what I mean?
Wait for that. As soon as they dip back underwater,
Yeah.
you
Then
go,
I
you go
just,
to
then I
them.
just run them over.
Yeah,
'Cause
that
I
works.
can kill them.
Uh-oh. Oh, look at that. He's at
People
0
arrive,
health.
the cows go home, the farmers keep it separated, I guess. Is this some sort of sexting that's taking place?
No. My lawyer told me I should not talk further on this.
Okay, alrighty. Well, I need to go grab another beer, and I'll be back in a minute. And so I'm assuming you're gonna hit
Don't
the.
drop your headset.
Well, I'm gonna bring it with me, as long as it doesn't get too wet.
I push the button the wrong way.
Well, there's the 156. It's kind of a big target, but it's doable. Let's see, 16 minutes damage.
Can live with that. So
Yeah.
Just if it's not on the water, it's cooking the base. So
Yeah, I mean, I was saying 8 minutes damage, 23 minutes damage. That's the same to me.
works for me. Yep. Hope I can do it that way. I think I have the same build or very similar to yours. So
Yeah, most everyone has a very similar PvE builds and PvP.
same across the board, I think.
You might have different engines, but I don't know.
No, I have the same Ronin. I think I have the
Okay.
same Ronin engine, or the same Ronin's build as you do. I think the other cycle I was different, but this one.
Yeah. I took a page out of your book and wanted to build them all the same way this time.
Cool.
Rather than, I thought about trying to mess around and give one of them higher evade, but it was not necessary. I'd say the one change I'd make to these is I would put on 4 explosive armors instead of 2 of each.
Yeah.
But it's I should have done that, but I did not save up explosive armors from the FM.
Probably have them, but my shipyard is tied up doing the upgrade on the Everest, and it's not going to be done for a few days, so I screwed myself on that one. And it's the flag, so I lose the kits if I stop it. So,
Well, here's the
this is the one I want to see. The 913? Or the
913.
913? Yes.
I have a Fearless Blitzer crew on, by the way, which just helps you move a bit faster at the start. It's not really needed. I enter from directly south because if you're coming on the left, it takes longer to get to these guys. And I'm just going to try and take out all the ships in the center here with in under a minute without any of the other stuff spawning in. Or if a few other things spawn in and if I can kill them for no repair, that's fine too. Oh, here we go. I'm getting 1 frame per second, so
Well, I was going to say you're lagging like crazy.
I think I did okay still. There's the one I have to try and kite, so I guess I wait for that to surface and then charge it, or it's dead already, one of the two. At 14 minutes, things start to spawn in. If I kill all these yellow ships, which the only last 2 are these ones on the top, the battle's over. If I kill these right now, I'll get 100,000 points and maybe 102,100 or something. Or I can wait for the waves to spawn in so we see what they look like, and why are they not coming in? Huh. Well, they should spawn in, and there's a lot of ships, a lot of smart torpedoes from there, so there they are.
There they go.
So if I move towards the center of the target, away from the smart torpedoes that spawn in because they have a set distance, I can kill these hunters for no damage because they only have torpedoes. And if I keep them off in the side, I won't take damage. But as soon as I kill this last flagship here, this ship with the flag on it, the countdown timer goes to 0.
Oh, yeah.
And I get my points. But as you can see here, very little damage, 125k points. And that's 4 minutes, 37 seconds. So there's map repair for just the 150k plus the 250k bonus. And it's been base repair more often than map repair for that method for me. But there's an amount of luck or something to it. Now I guess I can hit it with everything. And this time, I'm just going to try and kill a few things, not really rush quite as quickly. But I'll save the 2 at the top. And just kill a few things here. Try and make sure I'm not taking too much damage. And I'll wait for things to move towards me. If you look on the bottom right corner, there's a lot of ships down there. So if you go close to them, they'll all get triggered at once, which I would not recommend. But if you wait, they will come towards you, is at least what I've been told. And then there's this proto. It likes to loop down, then go back upwards. You have to kind of figure out its pattern and get close to it if you can. Okay, this guy just went underwater, so I guess if I charge him right now, it will. I'll be able to kill it.
Make sure you target it.
Yeah.
I see you did.
And why are they coming towards me? I don't want to kill the target. I want to do the whole thing.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they were like a slightly different color on the radar, because the target's so big you can't tell if there's other.
And he's chasing me right now, and I don't want to finish the target, but he's going to make me.
Is this what you and Bully were talking about earlier?
Yeah. This is there's just one left here, and he's target's over.
Yep. So I guess the thing there is to make sure you don't activate him in some way.
Yeah, stay far apart, I guess. That's 7 minutes, but
yeah,
I've hit a dozen 913s already, so
okay.
I plan to auto the 154s, drive the other 2, and I plan to only do just the few things in that other one.
Well, if hitting a dozen of those so far, I guess you haven't hit that many of the others because you should be.
I haven't.
Yeah, you should be close to. Once you finish those off, close to being done.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
I don't need. I'm gonna get another 7 Ronin upgrade kits. So when this is a pillage hole, it works better and what have you. But
upgrade kits or upgrade tokens?
Upgrade tokens.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I was going to. Let's see. See if anybody wants to join the show. Putting a link in the bottom right in the chat. So, in case anybody wants to join, because I don't know, is there much else we should be covering at this point?
Oh, I'm sure we'll get into reclaimer builds. I assume there's one special missing that we don't know yet from the Forsaken mission, but
Yeah.
we won't jump in those till really next Friday.
Yeah. I think it's way too early. Personally, I mean, put on what they gave you.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Actually, I'm not sure about if their engine's the best one because it weighs so much. But
if you're going to try and go with 5 of them, right?
Or 4 even.
Okay. I mean, that's it. I haven't looked at that.
I want 4 ships that weigh 100,000 each. If you put on that engine and all the armors, you'll be over 100,000.
Okay. I guess it depends on what that last special is, because like the interception system is a light special.
Even with that one.
Okay, because that's 14% versus some of these, you know. And you put the countermeasures on, or you want all?
I think I put 2 missile defense system 3s on hypothetical build.
Okay. Yeah, because you know those are.
Okay, where are they? When do these things spawn in and start shooting at me? I don't know.
13 minutes. We'll see.
If I get too close, they'll all trigger. Maybe that'll be entertaining.
Yeah, maybe that's the way to go.
I don't think it is. I did it once before.
Okay, didn't work out. Okay.
Well, an hour damage, which isn't bad, but see, they're not. I don't know when the waves spawn in. They should have already shot at me at this point. You can see things going up and down on the map.
Are those the smart torpedoes?
Well, the things going up and down are the subs. There might be smart torpedoes, but I haven't seen any.
Okay.
Yeah, something just zoomed across the map, it looked like, but I'm not seeing anything.
No, I'm not seeing anything moving. I'm looking at your sonar, radar, whatever on the bottom right hand.
Oh, there we go. I got someone.
Okay.
I got someone. Might be all of them. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Can someone tell Derpy he's put the wrong year on his latest raid video?
Did I say 2020? Yeah, I said December. I copied it from December. So I said it was February 2020. Well, I have more pressing matters at the exact present moment. I changed the 8th to the 10th. Oh, come on. Oh. Hey, do you think there's a few ships after me?
Yeah. Well, it's
Oh God. I want them to the left and right, not straight behind me. Uh-oh.
well, you know, it's
Here, I can damage them all at once.
Yeah, that was the spot right there. You could have just launched the side weapons with the flag with the splash, and boom.
Maybe that is the way to go. If you want the raid done real quick. Yeah, I killed the last keyholes. That's not going to be the whole 100,000. That's going to be like 800,000.
Yeah, if there's a way to just run them around and then just kill them all with one shot, that might be
755. So if you don't kill everything, you don't get all the points. But yeah, pretty good. That's an hour repair. So
yeah,
it's not worth it in terms of repair, but maybe it is in terms of drive time or fun effort or something like that. But I've had enough of raid today. I've been playing for 2 hours.
Yeah, it doesn't start here for another hour. So all right. Well, nobody's choosing to join the show. But yeah, as far as slap the engines on, slap some the limited weapons on. it's I don't know that we'll know any more on Friday unless they tell us what's getting dropped in the FM.
Well, I guess I'm not actually overweight with all this stuff on. I expect a radioactive battery 3 or 2 or whatever in the Forsaken mission,
Okay.
or a replacement to this guy.
Yeah, because
If I were building just from scratch right now, I'd do something closer to. I'd do something more like this. Build the whole blank, or with the Thud 1, and then refit something like this on. And I would only build 2 or 3 ships for now.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard until you see the target as far as what you would think about in regards to putting an engine on, because sometimes the engine is the most important one in regards to not dying before you actually get to something you can shoot at. Does that make sense? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, you can never get enough stuff on there to test.
Yeah, as far as testing, but yeah, as far as like people trying to do VXP for minimal amount of damage, sometimes that engine is lets you get in and out and do some damage, retreat.
I don't see that happening, to be honest, but
Okay. Are the stacks of both limited and non-limited compatible for? Yes. Let me see. Mike doesn't have the slides up anymore, but basically the way that you, at least historically, they can always change things. The way that you tell if the stack of one launcher versus another are compatible is if they have the same maximum stacks. The maximum, is what triggers the shockwave, because otherwise, well, it's never worked in the past, but some of them have 1200, these have 210, some have had different numbers, but how would you reconcile it if one has 120 and one has 1200? So basically anything that has that 210, those are compatible as far as creating a single stack, because what they will end up doing is creating two, at least historically, two separate stacks that are not piling, they're not cumulative, they're separate, if that makes sense. They're doing two different things. So alrighty. Thanks for bringing the slides back up, Reactive Rod. And I don't know, is there anything else we should be discussing? If not, I guess we'll see you on Friday.
Okay.
Alrighty. Well, thanks everybody for showing up. We'll be back on Friday, and if we have new things to share. Okay, everybody's so bubbly. All right, we will see you then. And the link's still there somewhere in case anybody wants to join the after show. I'll post it one more time, just in case. And best of luck in the raid, and see you all on Friday.